Hello, today I'd like to do a short presentation on heating and flaring an Orthovet splint. Sometimes it is necessary to heat and adjust an Orthovet splint to get the proper fit and a more comfortable fit for the animal. I always use a dew claw or a hock, bony prominence at the hock, or a carpal joint as an example of where you might need to heat and adjust an Orthovet splint. The splints are made from a thermoplastic, therefore you can heat and flare them. Keep in mind you cannot change the angle of the splint, but you can heat and flare for any hot spots or any problem areas that the animal might be having. Please use caution when adjusting an Orthovet splint. The surface of the plastic and also the heat gun tip will be very, very hot after you're done with the modification. Please allow time for the splint to cool before you apply it to the animal. Also, never do the adjustments directly on the pet. The surface is way too hot and you risk burning the animal. To make the modification to an Orthovet splint, you will need a heat gun. A heat gun can be purchased at any hardware store and is a paint stripper that is sold in the paint department of the hardware store. It is a high-intensity heat device and will deliver enough heat to be able to move the plastic to do your modification. Depending on where the place is that you need to do your modification, you will probably need to move a strap or a buckle out of the way. You can rotate a buckle out of the way or simply pull a strap back to do the modification. Okay, we are now ready to heat and flare our Orthovet splint. I have a rear limb splint here and I'm going to use an example of a dew claw being our problem area that we need to heat and relieve for. Simply turn on your heat gun and apply heat directly to the outside of the splint. You'll want to apply heat for short intervals of a second on, a second off, another second on, and a second off, so you do not scorch the plastic. If the heat is left on in one spot, it will burn the plastic. Also, the Orthovet splints do come in different thicknesses of plastic. Keep in mind thinner thicknesses will require less heat, the thicker plastics will require more. You will notice the plastic start to change sheen a little bit. It'll get a little bit different sheen. And you can also test the plastic by simply pushing on it. And if it moves, you've applied enough heat. If it doesn't move, just apply a little bit more. Okay. You can also modify the Orthovet splint by adjusting the width of the splint. If you have an animal that maybe almost fits into the splint but just needs a slight adjustment for width, you can simply heat down the back side of the splint and open it up or make it smaller. And I'm going to demonstrate that. You may need to heat the splint just a little bit longer because you're heating a bigger area. And you just keep running the heat gun up and down the splint, not leaving it in one area too long so it does not burn the plastic. Again, you will start to see the plastic take on a little bit different sheen. You know, you're getting close. And simply, to widen it, simply pull open the sides and it widens. If you need to make it a little bit narrower, just close in on the sides.
Good.
Good. Now that you've made your adjustment to the Orthovet splint and you're happy with the results, simply set the splint aside, face down on a tabletop, and let it cool down for about 10 minutes. That way everything's nice and cool and you don't risk burning the pet. Once your Orthovet splint has cooled off and you're ready to apply it to the animal again, make sure that your buckles and straps are in their normal position again. If you find that the adjustment is not working and you need further help, feel free to call our 1-800 number and we'll be happy to assist you with any further adjustments that may be needed.